everybody's with us this morning. And you know, it might have to, because we don't see all numbers all the time, but we might have to hit *6 to unmute himself, but we'll find out here in a second. But Tom Jr., are you with us this morning right now? Have you been able to hop on with us, partner? He is driving, and when he hops on, we'll know. Hit *6, and that would unmute you, and we'll go from there and see if we can't find him on here somewhere. Tom Jr., you with us? Okay. So we'll try a couple things here and see what's going on. I know he's en route. Junior just gave me a call and talked to him a little bit. So he's planning on being with us. He's got a big meeting going on, so he's kind of like dodging a meeting to hang out with us this morning a little bit. And we're going to get into one of our big topics today, and until he pops on here. But one of our big topics is to put yourself in a position to where you become a lighthouse and shed light on what the products can do for somebody. And do not ever, a lighthouse doesn't take it personal if someone doesn't, heed the call and follow the light and stay in the light of the practicing damage and hurt and falling upon the rocks and stuff. We want to put you in a position when you're talking to somebody that you can reach out. So, on air, Thomas Jr., are you with us this morning? Tom Jr., are you with us this morning? So we'll do that real quick and kind of go from there. All righty, here we go. Just about there. All right. All right, so he would have to, he's muted, we can't get him unmuted.
If you can't get him, his good-looking grandfather's on.
And his dad, okay. All right, so Tom Jr. is muted. Let's try to unmute him, Helen. I'm going to unmute this one and see if you can hear us here. Tom Jr., can you hear me now?
DW, this is Thomas with my dad right now.
We got you covered. How fun is that? You're supposed to be in a meeting, man. You got to get running.
He ran into my office. He says, I'm trying to get on the call, but they can't hear me.
Yeah, we had the wrong number. I mean, it's just, and sometimes we don't know what number you're calling from, and when someone calls from corporate, there's, everybody has the same number. We got you covered now, though. Tom Jr., good morning, my friend. Welcome to this call. I'm glad that you got a son, and I've got Miss Helen, and they know how to make connections so we can talk.
This is Tom Jr. How you doing?
I'm so glad to hear from you, man. What an exciting, your dad was on this week as well and just absolutely annihilated the information. And what you gave us, I loved how you started off talking about the CBD the other day, and you referred it to a cream of bull versus a Jersey cow. And really, honestly, the truth really got my personal attention. So we're going to share with you a little science, a little discovery so people can wrap their brains around what we have our hands on here. Good morning, my friend. Welcome.
Well, thank you, TW. First, I got to say, I'm warmed up for the call because I've been saying hello, TW, from my office. I run through the plant in Thomas's office, and then I heard Dad in Thomas's office. We couldn't get out, so I'm in Dad's office, so I'm warmed up.
Well, you did some running. Well, you're in a great office if you and your dad are hanging out together. No telling, that's like two mad scientists being in the same place. I'm not so sure that we're not going to come out with a whole new product. You guys are hanging out.
Well, do what? Things are in wild momentum that everyone has been talking about, and just a few minutes and talk about the whirlwind over the last 2 years. I appreciate the chance to jump on the call because this is just the start from what we did in Pennsylvania last week. And so you hit a good point right there, and that's something I want everybody to understand because it was hard for me to wrap my brain around it, and that is that full spectrum hemp extract is not marijuana. And that's a very crucial point as you talk to people because majority of the people, 50 to 70%, depending on the market, have never been exposed to this product. And we have 3 generations of people that have come come and gone since they stopped the growing of industrial hemp. And going back 2 years ago, I was watching all the research. I, luckily have had my father as my role model through my life, and I've learned about research the research. And when you hear something is happening, dive into it. And then on top of that, if it's worth doing, do it right. And so with that basic, I started 2 years ago to investigate why were people in the science community talking about this revolutionary product that has not been on the market for years. Why does it affect neurotransmitters the way that it does? And they're going back to the early 90s, looking at receptors in the brain, CB1 and now CB2 receptors, and finding that they can have dramatic results in achieving homeostasis in their body. Now, homeostasis is kind of the utopia of health, meaning that everything is running right. Inflammation, antioxidants, energy, sleep, brain control, because we have, the pituitary and the hypothalamus, which actually controls our appetite. And I know Miss Helen will like this because she doesn't want to see DW in a swimming suit, I'm sure, but CBD actually helps with appetite suppression. The studies show us, and so there's so many things that this does. It's just incredible. So 2 years ago, I started to investigate this, found out that it had a lot of validity in a product. Well, obviously, because back in the 30s, they had stopped the growing of all industrial hemp, I just had to watch the research. But as the research got greater and greater, and the results that people are achieving by using this dynamic supplement became evident, I thought, there's a chance that we could do this. What makes it twice as hard is sizzle safe, because we have to go out there and verify the ingredients, the sources. And so as I watched the legalities of this, and I personally went through my own FBI background checks and fingerprinting and certification of the facility as the laws were starting to change. And I went and met with the Department of Ag here in Utah, and we had a meeting with a dozen of us on how we would bring a product this to market if it were to ever come to fruition, which at that point was still kind of a long shot. On the other side, on the sizzle safe, I had to find out which one of these plants had the right array of all the different cannabidiols in it, the amino acids, everything that the science was backing, because there are dozens of varieties. And so the search began in the states, Washington, Oregon, Colorado, and others, to find the person who was doing it right. Because what we have found, as I've gone through this, two amazing statistics. And one is the fact that over 93% of everyone who tries this product, I'll say it again, 93% have a very positive effect with this. And there's not just one thing that you can hang your hat on that it is part of, because these molecules, these receptors are through your entire body. You can talk about appetite, you can talk about sleep, fatigue, anxiety, because the studies all started with neurotransmitters and the abnormalities that were in some of that. And so as the science was progressing, I was on the hunt through the western United States and also Kentucky. There was a lot being grown out there too, to find the material that met the scientific data. In my research, I qualified a farmer, organically grown material. We even looked at his soil samples. We even looked at the people who were farming around him, because you do not want cross-pollination with other products. In fact, I went to the one county to where they don't even allow recreational marijuana to be grown. I wanted this as pure of a product as possible. Well, as we go through the election process and the federal government declassifies, or not declassifies, but they take the regulation off and approve the growing of industrial hemp, not marijuana. Now the federal government has made it accessible to farmers to grow because of the 8,000 years of data going back to China, where it was protein, food, cooking oil, And this plant is amazing in what it does for overall health. Once I had done that, then I had to go to the next level. How would it be processed? Because if you look at extraction methodology, there are many harmful solvents that can be involved. And early on, they were looking at it in the lab. And so the use of solvents became more of a commercial application as people started to bring these products to market. And I found the very safest way to extract it was kind of using old root beer technology. Have you ever used dry ice, to create carbon dioxide? And I found a processor, and there are others that are doing this now, but there's many who are still using solvents. Well, as we know, solvents can leave behind residues. And so using the good old bubbles that are in root beer, dry ice, there's methodologies been developed that you can expose it to that as the dry ice becomes a liquid, goes through the plant. It brings out the resins in that plant that can be utilized. So we don't have any contaminants in the material. So we had the right material. We had the right extraction process. We just needed to go to the next level. And the next level was the fact that 70 to 80%, all of the research that's done out there independently, they found that the markets that were, or the products that were being sold on the market, I'll say it again, 80% did not have what they claimed on the label. And to even break that 20% down, they're doing it right. Many of them are using just broad spectrum, just isolate. Very few were using full spectrum hemp extract. Now also with Sizzle Safe, we need transparency. So working with the state, and we were able to come up with how we would have labels approved and how we would receive registration numbers. A legal product has a QR code on the back of it. And so that I'll bring up one point. If you have not purchased this product, we're going to have our marketing director do a webinar. You're going to want to get your bottle ASAP because he's going to do a webinar and teach you about this amazing product. And you're going to want to flip the bottle and take your smartphone and scan the QR code because it will have our third-party validation that what is in the bottle is what you are seeing in the analysis. And that has the full broad spectrum. And just like we know from Spectrum X, antioxidants are better when they are full spectrum because there's many different cannabidiols that are in this plant. And the scientific medical research was only done on a small portion of those. I mean, I hate to say it, but people are spending $30,000 a year for that. And so the early people who jumped into this saw that people were spending this money. They started taking hemp seed oil. Now, hemp seed oil comes from, obviously, the seed. It has no CBD. It doesn't have the terpene. It doesn't have the amino acid. It does not have all the ingredients that give you what they call the entourage effect to achieve homeostasis in your body. Now, that is a major point. You're going to have to hear this about a dozen times before it really sinks in. And so you want to get on the webinar. But more importantly, you want to get on the product. Because this is one of those products that I have only seen once or twice in my lifetime that people see an immediate response. And when you take this product in 20 to 45 minutes, you can put it on joints, you can rub it on your skin, you can put it in whatever you want to do. You will start to see the results based on we have the right genus of plant, we have the right extraction methods, we have everything there because like DW pointed out, a Brahma bull is not a Jersey cow. And that is a true difference between marijuana and industrial hemp. But it's also true within industrial hemp because now they're finding the cannabinoid profile changes between different species. So like I say, it has taken me 2 years, and I could probably stay here for 2 years, and we can talk about the history of China's use and the early colonization of the Americas required to grow it. And there's so many historical facts in between. But it is the perfect combination, both politically and sizzle say, to bring what right now to this point I can say wholeheartedly is the very best product. It's not good, it's not better, it's not even best. This is over the top. And if you've ever looked for having the right compensation plan and the one product that might come around in your life to accelerate your business, this is it. Now, along with that, I've got to say, this is a highly regulated product, and we're doing it right. The plant's registered, the grower's registered, the soil's analyzed, the extraction's registered, the product's registered. You're going to find the majority of the products are not that on the market, and they're still, because it is an expensive product, and farmers have $30,000, $40,000 per acre invested in this, and so it obviously at this point it drives the price higher. All the scammers are getting in on this, and they want to sell the $30 a gallon hemp seed oil, and they want people to get that, hopefully a placebo effect, which would be less than 10%. People who have tried it and have not had a result need to try ours, because this is done all the way through correctly. And you're going to have to do a lot of education on this. And this is the type of product that, I know I told a lot of you that when it was coming up for legalization in Utah, even in my own family, I asked my dad, I said, Dad, we have got to make sure that we get this voted in. And he said, I'm not voting for that. I'm not going to vote for marijuana. I said, you're not voting for marijuana, Dad. You're voting for full spectrum hemp extract from an entirely different plant. He said, well, it's too late. I'm mailing the ballot in. And so I got Liesel and others, and we voted for it. And we luckily barely passed. I think it was 53 to 47. But that opened the path to where I could legalize the plant once I did all my federal background checks and everything, to where we could do this right and have an approved product. Now, there's a lot of exciting things out there, and I'm going to ask you to put on your sizzle safe Mower family hat and do the research, because it is so highly regulated. And, there's still 4 holdout states out there. I saw last night that Kansas may open up, but we have Kansas, Nebraska, South Dakota, and Idaho. I don't know if anybody lives in Idaho anymore, but anyway, those states, they still do not allow it to come into those states, even though the federal government has said it's okay. The states are working on legislation to make that come in there. And so you're going to need to do your research. Please do not ask us to diagnose or to treat or to, your Aunt Mabel, calico cat, isn't feeling right, it's coughing up hairballs. How much should I give it? Those type of things we cannot discuss with you. But what we can do, if you trust the science, if you trust Sizzle Safe, and what we have done in the past is a good indication of that, you can rest assured that nobody in the entire market has a better product. In fact, outside sources, now you can get on there and watch Oz and watch the others, are like, holy cow, the products we test don't have it in there in the majority of the time, or they don't have the right quantities. The next evolution of this science is to, and they're starting on this, is to break down what CBD, what is CBN, what do these different fractions do, because what we find is that high levels of one give people a different benefit. But what we know, that's why full spectrum is huge in this, because there are over 80 of these different cannabidiols that are in there that work on your endocannabinoid system. You need all of those to receive homeostasis. And you'll read about the entourage effect. I look at it more like an ensemble. When you hear a beautiful piece of music and the woodwinds are right and the brass is right and the percussions and the string instruments, it is a beautiful song. And that is what you have when you take this product. But you need to do your research so that you're not asking us to diagnose or treat, because we're selling you the very best out there. And so get the bottle, scan the QR code, you'll see the transparency. This is the time to build a business, because I don't want to be a doomsayer, but I can tell you what, with everybody entering the market over the next year or two, people are going to have to start doing it right. And the government is really focused on this too. Now is the time to build a business with a product that over 93% of the people go, holy cow, I have not felt this good in years, if ever. So DW, I'm going to turn it back to you. I'm taking more than my 15 minutes, but I sure do appreciate. Get on the webinar. Jason might even extend it. Helen, talk to DW, because you can't let that laundry stack up anymore, because guess what? Laundry soap will be back out Friday or Monday. And so you better get him some gloves, and we'll get some laundry soap back to him and get it going. So we look for these dynamic products, DW. They only come around in the blue moon, and we can use ancient wisdom. But more importantly, between Dad and I, we have decades. And now Thomas is on board, and he's brought out Sizzle Rift, and this Mower mission, as we talked about in Pennsylvania, goes on generationally. And we're going to continue to look, but it might be 30 more years till I find another discovery like this. Who knows? Now's the time to make hay. So get out there and do it. Get on the webinar and build your business, so that in a year or two, when more people are doing it, guess what? You have built a brand based on quality, transparency, renewable resource, organically grown, and doing it right. Because right now, you're probably one of the only, you could count them all on one hand, who's doing it right out there. You have that product, you have the opportunity. So go get them, get in wild momentum. This is your year. This is our year. And then I may go underground for 2 more years and bring something else out. Who knows? DW, back to you.
We can't handle you underground. You and your dad stay above ground under the radar. I talked to a friend of mine that he's been doing these, the CBD for the last couple of years, and they had the hardest time finding a farmer that would grow something with any purity. And I was telling him, I said, our science guys went out and they tested the soil. And he goes, that's brilliant. He goes, a lot of soils will have heavy metals in them, and heavy metals will cancel out the effects, the potency of the product. And so, Tom Jr., you and your dad, you're doing it right, and we want to say thank you. And I know you're excited about the process. Is that right?
Absolutely, and you're right. This is a great plant in the fiber, the protein, and it helps to clean up soil. The nice thing about it can remove some harmful ingredients because it's a great plant. But because of that, because it is so efficient, you're exactly right. That's where the transparency comes in. I want people to look at the profile of the product. I want them to say, oh, not only have they tested it, but the third parties tested it too. So it's all there. So if you have people ask you questions, you can scan the QR code, you can get on the website and see for yourself. But you're right, there's very few that are doing it to what we're doing at this level at this time.
Well, we appreciate your time. I know you're got to run to a meeting, and I'm glad that you're going to be late, because we're with you being late over. Just throwing that out there.